I want to analyze the short story I Stand Here Ironing by Tillie Olsen. For some reason, it has been on my mind for a while now. It's one of those persistent ideas that won't give me peace until I bring it to life. It's also a way for me to understand why I couldn't fully grasp the story back in high school in 2013 when I was in Form 4. As a student in Kenya, I studied under the 844 education system, introduced in January 1985. The name reflects its structure: 8 years in primary school, 4 years in secondary school, and 4 years in university. This system was designed to equip students with both academic knowledge and practical skills, preparing them for either employment or further studies. Think of it as a structured ladder, each step building upon the last, ensuring a solid foundation before moving forward. As part of our secondary school literature curriculum, we read set books, specific novels, plays, or short stories chosen to enhance language skills, introduce cultural and historical themes, and, my personal favorite, develop critical thinking. One of the most famous set books in Kenya, which I unfortunately never read, was The River and the Source by Margaret Ogola. This novel follows the lives of strong female characters across generations, exploring themes of tradition, change, and resilience. During my high school years, The River and the Source had already been phased out of the syllabus. If my memory serves me right, for Kiswahili literature, Kiswahili being one of Kenya's national languages, I studied Mstahikimea by Timothy Arege, Utengano by Said Ahmed Mohamed, and Damu Nyeusi na Hadithi Nyingine, an anthology of short stories. For English literature, I studied The River Between by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, An Enemy of the People by Henrik Ibsen, and When the Sun Goes Down, an anthology of short stories. The Well Rider by Witi Ihimaera was also in circulation, though it wasn't issued at my school. My focus here is When the Sun Goes Down, an anthology of 16 short stories from Africa and beyond, which includes Tillie Olsen's I Stand Here Ironing. The Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education is the national high school exit exam in Kenya, administered by the Kenya National Examinations Council. Taken at the end of secondary school, usually at age 17 or 18, KCSE results determine university and college placements. My language scores were as follows: B+ in French, B- in English, and C- in Kiswahili. What I'm about to say might sound like an excuse for my mediocre performance in languages, but I assure you I'm not the type to make excuses. I dislike them. I bring this up only to provide context. Here we go. French, Kiswahili, and English are not my first languages. Kenya is a multilingual society where people grow up speaking different native languages, such as Luo, Kisii, Luya, Kikuyu, or Kalenjin, depending on their ethnic background. I'm a Luo myself. English and Kiswahili are compulsory second languages in the education system, facilitating nationwide communication. English is widely used in formal education and professional settings, while Kiswahili serves as a national language for daily interactions. However, the Kiswahili commonly spoken in Kenya is often a simplified version, in my opinion, compared to the more refined Swahili spoken in Kenya's coastal region and in Tanzania. Additionally, students have the option to learn an extra foreign language such as French, German, or Arabic. This multilingual policy fosters both national unity and global engagement. Now, back to my language scores. My B- in English reveals the kind of student I was. While I could communicate effectively, I lacked articulation, creativity, and deep analytical thinking. My writing and literary analysis were functional but uninspired, shaped by a mix of laziness, impatience, passivity, and disinterest. I likely did just enough to get by, avoiding the extra effort needed to master complex texts or refine my writing. I didn't read widely, practice critical analysis, or engage deeply with the material. Stories like I Stand Here Ironing, which require careful reading, empathy, and an understanding of nuanced themes, were likely beyond my grasp simply because I didn't invest the time or mental energy to unpack them. I may also have been impatient, skimming over challenging passages rather than persevering through them. Instead of actively questioning, researching context, or discussing the story, I relied on surface-level interpretations that left me ill-equipped to grasp the emotional depth and complexity of Olsen's work, and of literature in general. At 16 or 17, I didn't see the value in literature beyond exam requirements. Now, at 28, I approach I Stand Here Ironing with a different lens, one shaped by maturity, experience, and a deeper appreciation for storytelling and human complexity. What once felt inaccessible now resonates, proving that understanding literature is as much about growth and perspective as it is about skill. Now, let's get to the point. When the Sun Goes Down is an anthology of 16 short stories, edited by Emilia Ilieva and Wavini Olembo. It was published in 2010 and became a setbook for Kenyan secondary schools, particularly for literature studies, around 2013. The anthology explores themes such as HIV/AIDS stigma, gender relations, corruption, and environmental concerns, offering diverse narratives that reflect the societal and cultural realities of Africa and beyond. The stories are structured with questions at the end of each narrative, ensuring that students properly understand and engage with the material. Among these stories is Tillie Olsen's I Stand Here Ironing. Have you ever felt the weight of regret pressing on you like an iron gliding back and forth over fabric? Hot, relentless, and impossible to ignore? Have you ever looked back and wondered if you could have done more? I know I have. I regret wasting my potential in high school, people-pleasing, playing the victim, losing focus to trivial distractions instead of striving for the excellence I knew I was capable of. Maybe for you it's not about school. Maybe you wonder if you could have been a better son, daughter, sibling, mother, or even dad. Regret is universal, and it's at the heart of Tillie Olsen's short story, I Stand Here Ironing. It might as well have been called I Stand Here Regretting. This deeply personal yet universally relevant piece explores a mother's reflections on her daughter's life, revealing how guilt, poverty, and circumstance shape relationships and self-worth. To understand the depth of this story, let's begin with a brief overview. I Stand Here Ironing is a short story that unfolds as a mother responds to an unnamed figure, perhaps a teacher or counselor, asking about her daughter, Emily. As she irons, she reflects on Emily's childhood, detailing the struggles of raising her alone during the Great Depression. She recalls the difficult decisions she had to make, leaving Emily with relatives to work, sending her to a convalescent home when she was sick, and not always being emotionally available. Despite these hardships, Emily grows into a resilient young woman with a gift for comedy. The mother, however, remains haunted by doubt, wondering if she could have done more. To fully grasp the weight of the mother's struggles, we must consider the historical and cultural backdrop against which her story unfolds. Olsen's story is rooted in the economic and social struggles of early 20th century America. The Great Depression left millions of families struggling to survive, with single mothers like the narrator facing nearly insurmountable obstacles. Before the Works Progress Administration, WPA, and other New Deal programs, there were few safety nets for working-class families. Women, especially single mothers, had to make impossible choices between work and childcare. At the same time in Kenya, the country was under British colonial rule. The 1930s were marked by economic hardship for native Kenyans who suffered under colonial policies that prioritized European settlers. Many African families faced land dispossession, forced labor, and restricted access to education. Just as working-class American mothers struggled to raise their children amid economic turmoil, Kenyan parents had to navigate the challenges of colonial oppression, economic disparity, and limited opportunities for their children's futures. These parallel struggles highlight how systemic hardships shape generations across cultures. Understanding Olsen's own experiences provides even more insight into the emotional core of the story. Her personal history deeply informs the narrative. Tillie Olsen's own life experiences deeply influenced I Stand Here Ironing. Born to immigrant parents, Olsen grew up in poverty and became a mother at a young age, forcing her to put her literary ambitions on hold. She understood firsthand the tension between personal dreams and the demands of motherhood, a theme that permeates her work. Olsen's focus on working-class struggles and feminist themes made her a powerful voice for those often unheard in literature. Now that we have a sense of the story's foundation, let's explore its literary elements and what makes it so compelling. One of the most striking aspects of Olsen's writing is her use of narrative style. The way the story is structured plays a crucial role in immersing the reader in the mother's emotions. The story is written in the first-person stream of consciousness style, capturing the mother's wandering thoughts and emotions. The lack of linear structure mirrors how memory works, moving back and forth between past and present, just like the iron she holds. This style makes the reader feel the weight of her regrets and the depth of her love for Emily. Beyond its narrative technique, the story also introduces profound themes that resonate universally. Let's examine some of the most significant ones. Regret and guilt. The mother constantly questions if she could have done more for Emily, a feeling many parents can relate to. I quote, "She was a child of her age, of depression, of war, of fear." Her guilt is not just personal, it's shaped by the economic and historical forces around her. Resilience and growth. Despite hardships, Emily finds a way to thrive, developing a unique talent for comedy. This mirrors how many people, even in dire circumstances, find ways to carve out joy and purpose. Motherhood and sacrifice. The story highlights the sacrifices parents make, especially single mothers who must navigate love and survival simultaneously. The burden of poverty and societal circumstances. Poverty is a pervasive force throughout Emily's life. The family's financial struggles force the mother to leave Emily in inadequate childcare situations, contributing to Emily's emotional distress. The pressure to conform and the pain of difference. Emily struggles with feeling different and not fitting societal expectations. She is, and I quote from the book, "dark and thin and foreign-looking, in a world where the prestige went to blondness and curly hair and dimples." The complexity of maternal love. While the mother loves Emily deeply, she struggles to express it in ways that provide emotional security. The story explores the limitations of love when weighed down by economic and personal struggles. In addition to these themes, Olsen employs powerful symbolism to reinforce the story's emotional depth. Objects and actions take on deeper meanings, adding layers to the narrative. The iron itself is a powerful symbol. As the mother presses the fabric, she's also metaphorically pressing down her emotions, smoothing out the wrinkles of her memories, yet never truly erasing them. The act of ironing reflects her repetitive thoughts, going back and forth, burdened by the past. Confinement and limitation. The ironing board represents the mother's sense of being trapped by circumstances and her limited ability to provide a better life for Emily. Reflection and memory. The act of ironing triggers a stream of consciousness in the narrator, prompting her to reflect on her past choices and their impact on Emily. The complexities of sibling relationships. There is a palpable sense of resentment and imbalance between Emily and her younger sister, Susan. Susan embodies the qualities Emily lacks, further fueling Emily's feelings of inadequacy. While exploring Emily's individual struggles, it's also important to look at how she compares to her siblings. These contrasts shape her experience and sense of self. From birth, Emily was different. She was the only one of the narrator's 5 children who was beautiful at birth. She had a deep appreciation for motion, light, color, music, and textures lying on the floor, patting surfaces in ecstasy. Unlike her more expressive and demanding siblings, Emily did not directly protest or rebel. As she grew older, she became thin and dark in contrast to the chubby blonde ideal of the time. Most strikingly, she carried a corroding resentment toward her younger sister Susan, who was golden-haired, chubby, and quick-witted, everything Emily was not. What makes this story even more impactful is how its themes extend beyond a single family's experience. Similar struggles unfold across different cultures and time periods, making the story universally relevant. The emotions in I Stand Here Ironing transcend time and place, parental guilt and economic hardship. Whether in Depression-era America or modern-day Kenya, single parents struggle to balance work and family, often feeling they fall short. Resilience against the odds. Just as Emily overcomes her difficult childhood, many children worldwide, whether in refugee camps, war zones, or poverty-stricken neighborhoods, find ways to survive and even flourish. Generational struggles. The mother's guilt is not unique. In many cultures, parents sacrifice their dreams for their children's futures, only to wonder if they did enough. Ultimately, I Stand Here Ironing is more than just a reflection of one mother's regrets. It's a call to empathy and self-reflection. As we conclude, let's consider that this story teaches us about compassion, resilience, and moving forward. I Stand Here Ironing is more than a mother's lament. It's a powerful reflection on how circumstances shape our lives. It forces us to ask, how do we judge parents who do their best with what little they have? How do we, as individuals, reconcile our past regrets with our present realities? This story reminds us to extend empathy, not just to struggling parents, but to ourselves. We cannot go back and rewrite our pasts, but we can choose to understand, to forgive, and to move forward with compassion. So, I leave you with this. Take a moment to reflect. Are you still ironing out old regrets? Maybe it's time to set the iron down and appreciate how far you've come.